Emily Wang. I go by Emily. Yeah. Um, and so right. So right now I'm writing my dissertation, which is a study on how people mediate, how people use sound, music, and speech to mediate various spaces they consider home, and with case studies in the Chinese diaspora in Toronto. And so my paper today was drawn from that dissertation. So how I came to be here. I well one of my teachers, I guess, not my teachers. There was a call for paper on the AMS listserv, and I had just been writing this chapter and trying to work through a lot of these kind of issues in which constructions of race, ethnicity, and queerness and gender all intersect, right? So one of my mentors, I guess, forwarded me the call for paper. I applied and got in. Right.
And what do you think about the group of people who have assembled here in the conference so far? What's your impression of this conference setting?
I think it's wonderful. It's beautiful. It's really, really great to be in a space where two things, right? One is that it's really great to be in a space where people are. I see a lot of people who I see them and I'm like, I identify with that, or I identify with that. And being a queer woman of color, that's not always my experience. So that part is great. The second thing is that I think the conference organizers have done a beautiful job of sort of finding a collection of papers that are so theoretically on point, and that converge so beautifully. And I think it's like one of those rare moments where you can really have a very productive conversation because people are interested in similar approaches to life but have such different case studies. It's very invigorating.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
And you are studying at U of T?
Yeah, I'm studying at U of T.
So where's home? Where's home before U of T?
I lived in the United States for a while, but I'm Canadian permanent resident now.
Oh yeah. So, would you have a perspective on? So I guess what I'm getting at is that we've been asking a few folks about their sense of maybe differences in perspective on these issues in an American versus a Canadian context.
Right.
Whether for you there's anything salient there.
Right.
That comes to mind in terms of difference in approach or different impressions, or if there's anything special about having a conference in Canada or specifically in Vancouver that informs your experience here.
I mean definitely a really big part. Canada is known for its if I were to put it nicely, I would say diversity. If I was to sort of trying to hedging a little critical edge, I would say multiculturalism, with a critical distance, right? The kind of thing which visible minorities are co-opted to be like, look, we're this great liberal nation. I know this is for sure, so I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's okay though.
Okay.
You be honest.
Okay. So there's that. Canada is also known for its homo nationalism, in which queer people are also co-opted, but in this formation, it's white queer people, right? So I think it's there's simply by being in Vancouver, there's a lot to think about actually, right? And Vancouver being this kind of place, just so liberal, supposedly so accepting of queer subjects. And so many immigrants, right? That said, I've never been to. This is my first time in Vancouver, but having lived in Toronto for the last 5 years, and then before that I was in New York, and before New York I was in North Carolina in the United States, and I do find that in Canada a lot of these things are this kind of structural racism or this kind of axes of oppression are really, really subtle, and you have to listen a lot more carefully to hear the voices of the oppressed. Precisely because the oppression is so subtle and like manifests itself in like very little ways. Like everybody seems so accepting of everything all the time in Canada, but there are very subtle gestures that indicate otherwise, and so because of that, the pushback is also subtle.